Congress just lobbed a grenade into the Epstein saga, and the shrapnel has Donald Trump's name all over it. The Democrats move first. The pressure campaign is on. Now, if this holds, itty-bitty Mike Johnson might just be forced to release the Epstein files. And the first domino they're pushing is not in Washington, D.C., but across the pond, a disgraced royal with a hell of a lot to lose.
Prince Andrew will no longer be a prince. The extraordinary announcement tonight from Buckingham Palace, pushed out of the royal family over his ties to the late convicted sex predator Jeffrey Epstein. King Charles stripping his brother of all his titles. He will effectively no longer be royal, something that has not happened in more than a century. He's also being kicked out of his royal residence. It's a scandal the palace has not been able to shake. Late today, the palace releasing a 3-paragraph statement saying the king initiated a formal process to remove the style, titles and honours of Prince Andrew, adding the prince will now be known as Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor. The palace saying formal notice has now been served to surrender the lease on Royal Lodge, where Andrew has lived for more than 20 years. The palace statement ending, these censures are deemed necessary, notwithstanding the fact that he continues to deny the allegations against him. Their Majesties wish to make clear that their thoughts and utmost sympathies have been and will remain with the victims and survivors of any and all forms of abuse. Andrew once hosted Epstein, Harvey Weinstein and Ghislaine Maxwell at that sprawling 30-bedroom mansion, seen here at an 18th birthday party for Andrew's daughter Beatrice in 2006. The Epstein scandal raging for years, with Virginia Giuffre alleging Epstein trafficked her for sex with Andrew.
He knows exactly what he's done.
A claim he denies.
I have no recollection of ever meeting this lady.
This, the notorious photo, the soon-to-be former prince with Giuffre at Maxwell's home, presented to him in this infamous 2019 interview, which backfired spectacularly.
Britain just did what America refuses to do. Consequences. They say royalty is forever, but Andrew lost his titles, he lost his home, and he lost the world's patience. Therefore, he's now Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor, a private citizen with very, very public problems. The king has already stripped him of all of his titles and is evicting him from a state residence, setting a clear moral standard for prioritising victims. And guess who wants a word with the newly minted private citizen?
Members of the US Congress writing to Andrew, formally requesting an interview with him in connection with his friendship with the paedophile financier Jeffrey Epstein. Joining us now is our US correspondent David Blevin. So Congress wants to talk to him. David, what is the chance of Andrew heading over to Washington?
No response yet from Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor in relation to this request from the House Oversight Committee, that is the Congressional Committee that has been investigating Jeffrey Epstein, the group, for example, that has been releasing some of the documents like the so-called birthday book that there has been so much focus on in recent months. But I can tell you that 16 members of the committee, all Democrats, have now written to the former Duke of York, and they say they believe he may have crucial information about co-conspirators and enablers of Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. If I go on and read some more of that letter, it said that they note that the former Duke's friendship with Epstein reportedly began in 1999 and that they remained close even after the financier's 2008 conviction for procuring minors for prostitution. It goes on, it has also been reported that you travelled with Epstein to his New York residence, the Queen's residence at Balmoral, and to Epstein's private island in the US Virgin Islands, where you've been accused of abusing minors, they write. And this close relationship with Epstein, coupled with the recently revealed 2011 email exchange in which you wrote to him, "We are in this together," further confirms our suspicion that you may have valuable information about the crime crimes committed by Epstein and his co-conspirators. And they have asked the former Duke of York to appear before them by November 20th, they say, because of the urgency and gravity of this matter. Of course, he has been under renewed scrutiny after the publication of Virginia Giuffre's posthumous memoir detailed 3 encounters with him. So the former Duke of York being given until November 20th to respond to this request from 16 members of the House Oversight Committee to appear before them.
16 members of Congress just put it in writing. We think you know things about co-conspirators and enablers. They're not promising guilty admissions. They're promising to shed some sunlight on this whole fiasco. They frame it as urgency and gravity, but the subtext is much, much louder. If the House won't release the files, we'll build the records ourselves. Therefore, Andrew, he becomes leverage, a living, walking subpoena that keeps the story hot and the pressure on. So where does Trump fit into all of this? Trump's line has always been, nothing to see here. But political math doesn't care about your vibes. They say this is about a prince. No, it is not. Washington knows that this is about power, who had it, who used it, and who is protecting it. Therefore, every step toward a testimony is a step toward a paper trail. Visitors, logs, emails, travel, favours, donations, access. If the momentum builds, the Epstein files stop being a myth and become a menu. Let's be precise here. This is political pressure engineered through oversight. They can't force the Speaker to release everything, but they can raise the cost of secrecy. Therefore, itty-bitty Mike Johnson suddenly has a choice. Hold the line and look like a cover-up concierge, or schedule a vote and watch the whole story detonate. The police just signalled victims first. Congress can now say, even the Crown moved, what's your excuse? That's not just optics. That's now saying it's your move to the GOP. The ball is now in your court. And what will Trump do? He'll call it a witch hunt. He'll shout fake news and somehow, in some way, try to blame it on Biden. Therefore, the real test is whether Republicans keep shielding him when the cost of shielding him is rising every 24 hours. Because once interviews begin, silence looks like consent and stonewalling looks like guilt. A royal lost his titles. Congress wants his testimony. The deadline is circled. They tried to say, and they tried to gaslight the country, that the Epstein story was over. It isn't. If power protected the guilty, then an ordinary man who was once a prince might just strip that power away from them. If you want to see more stories like this, leave a comment down below and hit the wee subscribe button. And if you enjoyed this video, consider sharing it with your friends because it really helps a lot. Thanks for being here. I'll see you in the next one.